Hi, my name is Rob, and today I will talk about Donald Trump's executive order regarding straws. And I would like to say something before going into the details. So, I believe that the problem with the ban on single-use straws, plastics, is that it often did not include people with disabilities prior to the implementation, and stretched out one single-use item for another. So that's the second issue. At the same time, the issue of plastic waste is still a major issue, and there's scientific evidence supporting restrictions for environmental reasons. To dismiss environmental concerns is problematic. At the same time, dismissing concerns of people with disability is also problematic. I believe that we need solutions that address both concerns. In this show, I will look at the executive order and both the scientific evidence for the reasons why the executive order is bad for the environment, because it returns to plastic straws. At the same time, I will look at why it's important to include people with disabilities in this decision. So I have an article called Trump's to reverse Biden's plan to phase out plastic straws across U.S. government. It's in the Guardian newspaper. This was posted on February 8th. It is now February 13th. And Donald Trump posted on social media about having an executive order. The article says Joe Biden last year had a plan to phase out all single-use plastic across the federal government by 2035. Oh, and the article's by Oliver Millman. And it says plastic pollution there's a plastic pollution crisis and the scale of response that will be required to effectively confront it. The White House said that it is formally acknowledging the severity of the plastic pollution crisis and the scale of response that will be required to confront it. That was what was said by Joe Biden. And then there was some history. The European Union banned single-use plastic items such as plates, cutlery, and straws, and will further extend this to plastic bags, toiletries, and other items by 2030. And then President, after returning to the White House in January, Trump rescinded a Biden order to phase out single-use plastics on federal lands, including in U.S. national parks by 2032. So, national parks, wildlife, all will be included in, or will be more at risk because of plastic straws. And then it says less than 10% of plastic is being recycled, and then the rest ends up in the environment. Usually the oceans, and then it's connected to fossil fuel, which will worsen the climate crisis. And then there was a quote, Green Group said that Trump's embrace of plastics will only worsen this environmental crisis instead of doing what, and then it's a quote, instead of doing what is necessary to protect Americans' health, communities, and coasts from pervasive plastic pollution, President Trump is announcing executive orders that are more about messaging than finding solutions, said Christy Lavitt, Plastics Campaign Director at Oceana. So there is so that's that article, and I will go to this is a government document, so I will go to that government document. Oh, I just have to. Okay, there it is. Okay. So this is the executive order. It's called Ending Procurement and Forced Use of Paper Straws. I'm not a fan of the title. And then it's calling people irrational, so that's a classic Trump move. And then it makes a claim that they're often replaced by paper straws. Discredits the paper straws. And then says that they're individually wrapped in plastic. So this is the executive order. The heads of the executive departments and agencies shall take all appropriate action to eliminate the procurement of paper straws and otherwise ensure that paper straws are no longer provided within agency buildings. So they're not even. So it's forcing plastic, not even giving the option paper or plastic. It's forcing plastic onto government agency properties. So people won't have a choice. And then B, agencies shall take appropriate action to eliminate policies designed to disfavor plastic straws issued to follow Executive Order 14057 of December 8th, 2021. Bracket catalyzing clean energy industries and jobs through federal sustainability, which are revoked on January 20th, 2025. So that's probably where the plastic straws can be in pokes. And then within 45 days of this order, the Assistant of the President for Domestic Policy in coordination with relevant agencies shall issue a national strategy to end the use of paper straws. The strategy shall address the elimination of all policies within the executive branch designed to disfavor plastic straws, contract policies and terms with entities, including states that ban or penalize plastic straw purchase or use. All other available tools to achieve the policy of the order nationwide. And then those general provisions, so there's that. And then I will go to a report. So first I will talk about disabilities. There's an article by the NPR from 2018. It's called Why People with Disabilities Want Bans on Plastic Straws to Be More Flexible. And then I'll get into like the scientific reasons why it's important to consider a reductions or strategies to eliminate plastic waste as well. So that's the article. It's by Tav Danovich and Maria Goldie. So there was an example at the zoo. Jordan Carlson's son, who has mortal planning delays. They had to leave the park, the zoo, if the son got thirsty, because the son can't drink beverages. Jordan Carlson's son can't drink beverages. And then for many people with disabilities, going without plastic straws isn't a question of how much they care about dolphins or sea turtles. It can be a matter of life or death. There's some people that have limited jaw control. They can bite through things, so if it's too hard, it doesn't work. If it's not flexible, it doesn't work. There was a sentence. What people did before plastic straws were invented? They aspirated liquid in their lungs, developed pneumonia, and died, says Sean Bickley, co-chair of the Seattle Commission for People with Disabilities. And then there was some statistics about straws. More than 7% of plastics found in the U.S. by piece. So that's the reason why it's important to include people with disability in decisions around, and all decisions that might impact them. And then I'll go to the scientific evidence. So there is scientific evidence on why plastics should be reduced, and how it could harm wildlife. Let's see. There was a science assessment of plastic pollution by Environment and Climate Change Canada, Health Canada in 2020. I made some highlights in this document. So plastic waste can be, this is on page 8, plastic waste can be released into the environment as complete materials, as large pieces of plastic, or as microplastics. microfibers released from washing of clothes, or microbeads released through wastewater. Microplastics can also be formed through the breakdown of larger plastic items in the environment. And then on page 9, it says the most common little items collected on Canadian shorelines include cigarette butts, bottle caps, plastic bags, plastic bottles, and straws. And then let's see. I highlighted something else as well. Yeah, so the plastic pollution often follows hydrological pathways. Majority of plastic pollution will be eventually transported into the ocean. The Great Lakes have a lot of plastics. And then page 26, plastic degradation in the environment is slow and can be affected by multiple factors. Plastics that are exposed to sunlight, oxidants, and physical stress over time will weather and degrade, although the extent of degradation depends on both the environment and the chemical composition of plastics. Solar UV-induced photodegeneration, thermal oxidation, hydrolysis, and biodegradation is what's included. And degradation is most extensive in environments such as the sea surface and beaches. What else did I highlight? Oh, sediment. Plastics may remain in benthic systems of lakes and rivers or be transferred along the altitudinal gradient towards marine ecosystems such as oceans. Microplastic concentrations on a volume basis are higher in sediments than in surface water. And microplastics are like small versions of plastic. And then it says sinking fecal matter from zooplankton that have ingested microplastics represents a mechanisms by which floating plastics can be vertically transported away from surface waters and into deeper waters. Okay, and then it gets into little audits performed in, and this is page 40, little audits performed in Edmonton, Toronto, and Vancouver found 32%, 31%, 42% of large little respectively was composed of plastic. And that included straws. I didn't look at the L. Oh, okay. And then those microplastics in the digestive tract of over 100 fish species. I think this is just and then straws are macroplastic, which is like visible plastic. Plastic pollution, and this is on page 50. Over 80% of marine litter was plastic. And then most common items reported to cause an effect were lost and abandoned fishing gear or other plastic items such as rope, bag, straws, and degraded fragments. And this is what Donald Trump is allowing in national parks. Specifically straws, plastic straws, Adverse effects of macroplastic pollution include entanglement, ingestion, and impacts of habitat integrity. So entanglement. Large plastics such as bags, sheets, and films can cover plants, sponges, and corals, affecting gas exchange and their photosynthetic capacities. So potentially, like a bunch of straws could cover an organism. Indigestion. So indigestion, wildlife digest plastics. Species known to ingest plastics increased by approximately 87% from 1997 to 2015. And marine litter ingestion has been recorded in 50.4% of marine mammal species, 40.4% of seabird species, and 100% of turtle species. This is on page 53. Plastic ingestion leading to direct harm or death is less frequent in comparison to entanglement. Watchman et al. In 2016 found that 63% of deaths were due to ingestion of marine litter. Ingestion of plastics by organisms. This is from the article. Ingestion of plastics by organism has shown to have consequences from several pathways. Current literature shows that the most clear adverse effects of plastic ingestion is the blockage of intestinal systems, preventing feeding and thus leading to possible starvation. Ingested plastics can also damage organs and intestinal systems. And then Brando et al. 2011 observed a dead Magellanic penguin whose stomach had been perforated by a plastic straw. So there was like an example of a plastic straw harming a wildlife. Habitat integrity. They can be a stressor on ecosystem dynamics and habitat integrity. They can transport organisms or other organic matter. This is on page 54. They're an artificial habitat for the colonization and growth of microorganisms that can affect species assemblage. Did I highlight anything else in this scientific report? I'm not sure. Oh, there's also transport of chemicals. I don't think I highlighted anything else. And then there's some references. So I'll go to the final item. This is from the Association of Zoos and Aquarium. And it says, straw or no straw, how our choices impact aquatic wildlife one straw at a time. And this is in 2019. They can be extremely dangerous, or especially when we overproduce, overuse, and overconsume, and then fail to reuse, recycle, and or dispose of it properly. And then they say that there's no recycling, and they'll probably end up in the waterways, especially oceans, due to beach littering, wind and transports the lightweight objects from trash cans and trash collection facilities and boulders, boats, and aquatic transport vehicles. Yeah, so there is a reason to reduce the number of straws or restrict them in certain circumstances. But this has to be done with people with disabilities, and I will go to it's important to consider people with disabilities, and also it's important to protect the wildlife as well. So we have to do both, and if we do both, we can come up with a solution that works for a better solution than what's happening now. I don't support the Trump's executive order. I'm also not a fan of blanket bans that harm people with disabilities. Anyways, I appreciate your time. I know that this is a U.S. executive order. I do know that people in all over the world are talking about straws. So I will see you next time.